So, for introduction, Malaysia Madani, or known as Masyarakat Madani or civil society, is a policy framework and governance slogan introduced by the 10th Prime Minister of Malaysia, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, in January 2023. It represents a vision for a better country and people, shifting the national focus from just traditional economic indicators towards building a solid foundation of shared values and ethical governance. The ultimate goal is a holistic national advancement that reconciles economic progress with moral and social integrity.
There are four concepts of Malaysia Madani, and the first one is good governance. The Malaysia Madani framework is one of the pillars of good governance, the backbone of Malaysia. It is oriented towards establishing an ethical, transparent, accountable, and effective government that is serving the people fairly in cost-effective and efficient manner. Good governance refers to the principles that guide public administration and is imperative for trust being built between the government and its citizens. Integrity, fairness, and responsibility play a role in this. In Madani, it is not only a technical requirement but also a moral obligation to uphold justice and contribute to the welfare of society. Good governance is necessary for national policies' effectiveness and public confidence for economic and social development. Strong governance lowers the level of corruption, better utilizes finite resources, and increases the likelihood of citizens being actively engaged in nation building. Malaysia Madani can be seen as integrated elements of good governance, which include transparency, accountability, integrity, rule of law, responsiveness, and participatory decision making. Every one of these dimensions are aspects that contribute to people-centered and trust-based government. Transparency in governance means making processes, information, and decision-making accessible to the public, which helps reduce corruption and enhance trust in institutions. In Malaysia, the Madani initiative promotes this through the digital governance reforms like open data portals and real-time reporting system, enabling citizens to understand resource allocation and decision-making. This often fosters stronger relationship between the government and citizens, encouraging civic participation in national development. Accountability involves the dissemination of public information from governments to stakeholders about political processes such as spending and policy decisions. It promotes accountability and reduces corruption, thereby boosting public confidence in institutions. In Malaysia, transparency is enhanced through digital governance reform, including open data portals and real-time public reporting, enabling citizens to understand resources allocation and participate in national development. Economic sustainability aims to create a resilient and inclusive economy by promoting sectors like technology, green industries, and digital entrepreneurship. The Malaysia Madani framework advocates for policy that reduce inequality and enhance income distribution, benefiting all citizens, including marginalized groups. It emphasizes responsible fiscal management to avoid excessive national debt, ensuring long-term economic stability and competitiveness globally while securing prosperity for future generations. Social sustainability in Malaysia emphasizes universal access to education, healthcare, employment, and safe living conditions, fostering equality and quality of life for all citizens. Initiatives like scholarship for low-income students, affordable housing, and community healthcare programs are implemented to bridge social development gaps and support vulnerable population. Additionally, it focuses on strengthening family structure, empowering youth, and promoting gender equality to achieve social harmony and resilience. Environmental sustainability is vital for preserving Malaysian biodiversity and natural resources. The Malaysia Madani Initiative promotes forest conservation, renewable energy, and pollution control to mitigate environmental degradation. The government supports green technology and waste reduction, aiming for future climate resilience. Integrating environmental protection into national planning ensure a sustainable ecosystem for future generation and align with global standards, including the Paris Agreement. Next, we move to racial harmony. Promoting unity in diversity in Malaysia foster acceptance of cultural, linguistic, and religious differences while upholding a shared national identity, crucial for diminishing racial tensions. The Malaysia Madani Initiative enhanced unity through intercultural events, integration programs, and equitable policymaking. Additionally, public campaigns promote tolerance and collaboration among communities, aiming to strengthen societal bonds and ensure peace among diverse ethnic groups. Next is role of education and community programs. Education in Malaysia is vital for shaping the values and identity of young people. Schools and universities are encouraged to adopt civic education and multicultural learning to foster intercultural harmony. Community initiatives such as interfaith dialogues and cultural workshops promote collaboration and reduce stereotypes, ultimately fostering social cohesion. Through these educational and community efforts, Malaysia aims to cultivate citizens who prioritize unity, respect, and inclusivity. Next is other supporting concept. Innovation is crucial for Malaysia's economic competitiveness, fostering creativity and improvement in digital technology and industrial transformation. The Malaysia Madani Initiative supports innovation via digital infrastructure investment, startup assistance, and university-industry collaboration, enabling Malaysia to adapt to global shift and create growth opportunity. Next is respect. Respect is fundamental to a peaceful and just society, involving the recognition of individual rights and dignity. Malaysia Madani promotes respectful interaction across school, workplace, and community, supporting policies that foster equality and inclusiveness. This approach enhances national unity and encourages fairness and empathy among Malaysians, contributing to societal harmony. Next is compassion. Compassion in Malaysia Madani revolves around kindness, empathy, and support for those in need, highlighted through social welfare programs and government initiatives for vulnerable population. This compassionate governance prioritizes human well-being in policymaking, fostering a caring society that its members facing hardship.
So, the first one is the economic policy, or known as NEP, implemented in 1971 following the May 1969 racial riots, was a controversial and ambitious dual-pronged strategy aimed at achieving national unity by first eradicating poverty across all races, and second, restructuring society to eliminate the identification of race with economic function, specifically targeting a 30% Bumiputra corporate equity share by 1990 through heavy state intervention and ethnic quotas, while successfully reducing absolute poverty and fostering a sizable Bumiputra middle class. The NEP faced significant criticism because policies were often manipulated by political elites, identifying intra-ethnic inequities, and its singular focus on the equity target led to feelings of systematic discrimination among non-Bumiputra, ultimately resulting in a paradoxical legacy of economic stabilization that simultaneously deepened identity politics. And for the second one is the Rukun Negara, or known as National Principles, introduced in 1970 as a national philosophy with 5 principles. First one is belief in God, loyalty to the king and the country, supremacy of the constitution, rule of law, and the courtesy and morality. Was designed to foster national cohesion and shared ethos through civic education, public ceremonies, and media promotion, aiming for deep internalization and penghayatan. However, its implementation has been challenged as critics argue it remains a ceremonial declaration rather than a binding constitutional pillar influencing policy, unlike Indonesia's Pancasila. Furthermore, the approach is often viewed as being fragmented by seasonal and one-off initiatives that fail to tackle deep-seated societal biases. Recent political dynamics where ideological differences are frequently framed along ethnic and religious lines continuously test principles like the supremacy of the constitution and courtesy and morality, indicating that while the Rukun Negara is widely known achieving its goal of a moral perfect or a more perfect unity remains an aspirational goal rather than a fully realized national reality. And the last one is the government introduced Vision 2020 following the NEP's 1990 deadline, aiming for Malaysia to achieve fully developed nation status by 2020 with the crucial goal of establishing a united Bangsa Malaysia, or known as Malaysian nation, that transcended ethnic boundaries while respecting diverse cultures. This post-NEP strategy consolidated poverty eradication and societal restructuring under successor policies like the National Development Policy (NDP) and the National Vision Policy (NVP), alongside promoting competitive economic growth. However, a central tension existed between the universalistic ideal of Bangsa Malaysia and the ongoing implementation of ethnic-based affirmative action that continued to grant extensive benefits and special rights primarily to the Bumiputra community. This led to a gap where political rhetoric emphasized transethnic unity, but the underlying economic structures remain racially differentiated, ensuring stability through shared wealth from high economic growth, but ultimately frustrating the genuine formation of a singular non-ethnic Malaysia identity. Okay, now we move to the next slide, which is issues and obstacle faced. So the first one is implementation challenges and structural tensions in Malaysian national policy. Malaysia's decades-long project of nation building, designed to unify its unique multicultural landscape and ensure shared prosperity through major governmental policies, has achieved significant milestones in poverty eradication and economic modernization. However, the implementation of these policies is consistently undermined by structural obstacles, which primarily fall into 3 categories: policy capture and internal inequity, where policy are misused, the conflict between national philosophy and political practice, or known as where ideal clash with reality, and the structural tension between ethnic equity goals and global competitiveness. So the second one is policy capture and the challenge of intra-ethnic inequity. So the new economic policy NEP, designed to eradicate poverty and create a wealthy Bumiputra commercial community, achieved success in forming a Malay middle class, but were severely undermined by policy capture. Policies intended for the collective Bumiputra advancements were channeled through political patronage and state agencies, resulting in the concentration of benefits and resources among a small number of politically connected elites. This failure created a twofold obstacle. It intensified resentment among non-Bumiputra communities, feeling systematic exclusion, and more critically, it created deep intra-ethnic inequities, meaning the poor within the Bumiputra group did not equitably receive the benefits. This focus on meeting the 30% corporate equity target ultimately frustrated and the NEP's unifying intent and made it a source of domestic political contestation. Now for the conclusion. Finally, subsequent strategies aimed at achieving a Bangsa Malaysia continually clash with the deeply entrenched structural reliance on ethnic differentiation in economic policy. Overcoming these obstacles requires a difficult necessary shift from policies designed primarily to maintain ethnic stability to a new generation of inclusive and merit-based policies that foster equitable growth and justice for all citizens, moving the nation closer to the cohesive, progressive vision outlined in its fundamental documents. That's it for me. Thank you.